I welcome you all and today's event is a lecture in the memory of Professor Devendra Kaushik, who passed away a few years ago. On the 1st of March 2026, he would have been 92. And unfortunately, unfortunately, last year his wife also passed away. She by nationality. We have the speakers, as you know. Prem Kishanji is our chair, who is going to chair today's proceedings, and he has all the veto power to stop me and other people, but not like Donald Trump. Professor Upadhyaya, V.P. Upadhyaya, who retired from the IIT Delhi. He was an assistant professor here in the Raisa University and my classmate since 69. And he left Raisa University and did his PhD from Canada, and then he got a job in IIT Delhi. He retired from there. He's on his way. Unfortunately, on his speeding, his driver got a ticket, so he might be here around 3:45. Then we have my dear friend Satish Jha, whom I met in 1976 when I joined Jawaharlal Nehru University. And it is a coincidence, he was classmate of Sitaram Yechuri, who was the General Secretary of the Communist Party, Marxist. But when during my stay, very short stay, 1 year at Jawaharlal Nehru University, and when the emergency was revoked, I got my job back in the Rajasthan University, which I lost in 75. We used to socialize every day. As you know, I believe in 100 flower blossom and 1,000 school of thought content. So we got along very well, though we disagree on a number of issues. But our comrades, leftists there, they did socialize very much with him, as usual, because of rigidities, ideological. So since then, we lost the contact. Once he came to Jaipur with a group of students, and we took him to tour of the Jaipur and Amir Clark and all those places. After that, we came to know each other from the Facebook. The Facebook has been very useful after 35 years or 40 years, maybe longer than that. So in that respect, the Facebook is very useful. And since then, he has been here. We organized an event, a K.C. Swami, K.C. Swami was a leading journalist. So we had a K.C. Swami memorial lecture in Canadian College. And his daughter is an associate professor in Canadian College. And we organized an event, and Satish was there in that event. Kankilji was also there in that event, many other people. So he's there, he's going to speak. And our third speaker was Professor Arun Kumar, who, as you must have seen, the only economist I rely on his data, with a big long beard, and he retired from the Jawaharlal Nehru University. And unfortunately, yesterday his sister-in-law passed away, so he can't make it or not even available online. So we are going to miss him. Then the next speaker is Pradeep Ghosh. Pradeep Ghosh is a very senior IAS officer who retired as an environment secretary, who I came to know him in Pittsburgh when I was working on my PhD, and they came under some Humphrey scholarship in which Abhimanyu Singh from here was there, and his wife Meenakshi they were all there in Pittsburgh. So he's the one person who is keeping in touch with me constantly. So he will be available. Unfortunately, we don't have a video facility, so we are going to have some arrangement of listening to him on my laptop. So we'll see how it goes. And then there was a very young and terrific speaker, Swasti Rao, who has been to Jaipur many times. And I intercepted her from the television, because she speaks very fluently and she has been to Jaipur many times. She is also traveling from Chandigarh to Delhi by car, taxi. So I'm not sure whether she will be available by that time or not. And as you know, I don't need any introduction because most of the people we meet on a constant daily basis, but I have the interest of organizing these events. When I stay 2-3 months here in Jaipur, I always try to organize an event. So, Kaushik, I want to say a few words about the Kaushik and then we'll see. Professor Kaushik has a very terrific background, and he actually did his master's, MA, LLB and PhD from Lucknow, and then he went to Moscow. And there for another doctorate under some exchange programs at the Oriental Studies, and he did his PhD under academician Jaipur, who was the member of the Central Committee of the CPSU, and he was the only Stalinist that time left. While he was there, his father was a good friend of Chaudhry Charan Singh, and he often told his father, "आपका बच्चा बिगड़ गया है, इसको वापस लाओ, कम्युनिस्ट हो गया." So that was used the dialogue. Then what happened is he was already married. This is a very interesting background, and his brother-in-law was a member of parliament. So he complained to the Prime Minister Nehru that he was engaging with a Russian woman there. So his passport was impounded, and he was not allowed to go anywhere. And then Somnath Chatterjee's father was a leading lawyer and I think was president of the Hindu Mahasabha. He actually represented him in the Supreme Court and got his passport restored. And then everything, followed. Then after that he got an associate professor in the Rajasthan University in the history department. And he stayed here until 79. Then he got a job as a full professor in Jawaharlal Nehru University in the Russian and Asian studies. And there he retired from there. But he was very active. Now he has written over 100 articles and 40 books translated in at least dozens of languages. And the foreword of his book was written right from left to right, starting with Achyuta Menon, the then Chief Minister of Kerala, then Mrs. Gandhi, Chandrasekhar, and VP Singh. There was not a single Prime Minister whom he did not interact. In fact, including Atal Bihari Vajpayee, despite his divergent views. And he actually said and produced about 100 PhDs, but unfortunately, you can imagine, not a single his PhD student is present. You can imagine, I tried hard to contact everybody, but I don't know what is it, including one DGP, Balwant Singh was his PhD from Rajasthan University and many others. Yeah, that's a different matter. And he has written in articles published in Pravda, University, many national and international newspapers. And one time I asked him, he asked me, do you know why Gandhi picked Nehru over Patel as Prime Minister? So I said I should my ignorance because I'm not a historian, I didn't know, old enough to know what was going on then. So I said, you tell me why he picked Nehru over Patel. His telling response was, Had he picked Patel, he would talk right and go right. You understand right ideology, capitalist path. He picked Nehru because Nehru will talk left and go right. That's why he picked. He said because the people are poor in India, the path of capitalism will not suit them. So talking left is more appropriate for actually keeping the Congress party intact. Whatever he does for the encouraging investment or industries, and you can imagine during the Congress regime, I wrote a paper in 1974, there were 10 monopoly capitalists developed in India at that time. So that was the analysis of his. Now, he actually, when he left here, he joined Jawaharlal University, he joined the Congress Socialist Party with Bahuguna. And Bahuguna, actually, prior to this living here, you will know that the two founders of the Communist Party of India, Adhikari and Muzaffar Ahmad, they were the founders of the Communist Party in 1924. He actually researched in Moscow, actually the origin of the Communist Party, because it was founded there in Tashkent. And both communists have written a chapter on him, Dr. Kaushik's contribution to the research on the founding of the Communist Party. Muzaffar Ahmad of the CPM, myself and the Communist Party, and Adhikari, History of the Communist Party of India. Both have one chapter, acknowledged. However, my leftist friend abandoned him, rejected him because there was a photo of him with Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So now he no longer is untouchable. So that is the kind of, things go. Then he joined Congress Socialist Party, and there was some divergence, dispute between Bahuganaji and Chaudhary Sahab. Both were hot-headed. And on the birthday of Chaudhary Charan Singh, actually he persuaded Bahuganaji to attend his birthday party. So the journalists were very curious, and they wanted to know what happened and what will happen to. So they asked Chaudhary Sahab, what do you think about your foreign policy and Bahugana's socialism? His telling response was, ask Bahugana. So you can imagine the input, the understanding that he created, that he has so much confidence in his rival that he referred to press to Bahugana. The other thing, which is revealing, which I couldn't find in the history books, M.N. Roy used to be a very veteran communist who traveled to Moscow and met Lenin, and he gave alternative thesis. And he told me about him that after the independence of India, Nehruji called him, and he wasn't there, so his wife, he had a German wife, and he asked her whether he can write the history of the Congress Party. She didn't know the background. She said, yes, he will be happy to write that. But when he came and found out, he was furious about it. And he wrote a letter to Nehruji, why should I write the history of the Congress Party, who declared communists as anti-national during the independence period, so he rejected it. Now, I can't find anywhere in the, Google or anywhere this kind of information which he used to have. So, with this brief background, actually I missed him, although I was never his student. I was an economist, he was in history. But we were in constant touch. Whenever I came from US or he came to US, I organized his lectures. I was, until I couldn't be present when he died, but every year we used to meet and exchange the views. He was a very friendly person and helped almost everybody, regardless of ideological beliefs. He helped everybody who ever close to him. But he was a controversial figure in jail. Probably my friend Satish will know more about him than I do, because I left India in 1982. So with this brief background of him, before Professor Vaidya comes here, I invite Satish Jha to say something about our topic of today, the strategy sabotage, the tariffs offense and India's managed diplomatic sorry, I'm reading different. The topic is here, ripple effect of tariffs,
Reshaping global trade.
Reshaping global trade. Please.
The ripple effects of Trump tariffs.